everyone. Thanks for joining us. GMD Military had been having an ingenuity and thinking out of the box about getting the best from the Train 7 project of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG). Stakeholders took up the challenge, and now we have a gas supply agreement, but there are projections still, which is a reflection of the current momentum and status of year 2019 as far as the industry is concerned. And while that lasts, matching orders goes to the newly inaugurated board of the Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical Company. It's quite a loaded list coming from NNPC's GMD, all in a bid to deepening gas utilization in country and more. Business was good for the National Oil Corporation in August 2019 with 22% trading surplus. We got the numbers. It's the Yuletide season and end of Q4, as well as season of projections for 2020. And in that year, two things will happen. The first condensate refinery in Nigeria will be established, and two, world oil demands will remain unchanged. All the numbers and attendant information are in the details. I'm Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
Under President Muhammadu Buhari, we've seen where there is fuel, you make a choice of where to buy fuel. You make shakara for them.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Mele Kyari, and the entire staff wish Nigerians and the various stakeholders in the oil and gas industry a Merry Christmas. As petroleum product supplier of last resort, the NNPC wishes to assure you of adequate petroleum product supply to meet all your energy demands in the Yuletide and beyond. The NNPC holds a robust stock of premium motor spirit, PMS, dual-purpose kerosene, DPK, automotive gas oil, AGO, and aviation turbine kerosene, ATK, in her various strategic depots. The Nigeria State Oil Company advises all players in the oil and gas industry value chain and motorists alike to play according to the rules of the game and not to indulge in any sharp practice that will disrupt the seamless flow of petroleum products to various end users. NNPC wishes you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The federal government of Nigeria has set June 2020 as the new date for the passage of the long-awaited petroleum legislation. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, made this known while briefing State House correspondents in Abuja to commemorate his 100 days in office.
Work is ongoing on the PIB, and that hopefully the PIB will be passed into law by June next year. Next year, we will open the gas sector, and a lot will happen in the gas sector in Nigeria. The rehabilitation of Port Harcourt refinery will commence in January. 2020 will be a very busy year for the oil industry in Nigeria.
He said the passage of the Deep Offshore Bill had already heightened activities in the nation's oil and gas industry, stressing that 2020 will be eventful for the petroleum sector.
A critical step towards the realization of the Train 7 project of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG) was taken recently in Abuja with the signing of a gas supply agreement between the company and major gas producers. Speaking on the significance of the execution of the gas supply agreement, Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Mele Kyari, disclosed that with the agreement in place, all was set for the takeoff of the project.
This is a very historic moment for our country. Delivering gas to Train 7 is of utmost significance to us. And what it will do to us is obvious: to create jobs, to net money for this country, and it can bring faith and prosperity to this country.
Also speaking at the event, Country Chairman of Shell Group of Companies in Nigeria and Managing Director of Shell Petroleum Development Company (SPDC), Mr. Osage Okumbo, appreciated the NNPC GMD for its purposeful leadership which saw the partners coming together to sign the gas supply agreement.
When we sign agreements in the industry, it means we are ready to execute. So this is a very big event. This is essentially the signing of the GSAs, the gas sales agreements for supply, to make both to keep Trains 1 to 3 going, but also for the very ambitious Train 7 project.
On his part, the managing director of Total Nigeria, who was represented by Mr. Patrick Olima, pledged the company's commitment to making gas available for the NLNG and executing other big projects in the country, like the Egina project.
We remain committed to do other big projects like the Egina project, so we remain committed to Nigeria.
The managing director of Nigerian Ajib Oil Company, NAOC, who was represented by Mr. Massimiliano Betona, also thanked Mele Kyari for the skillful way he drove the process leading up to the signing of the gas supply agreement and pledged the commitment of the company to supplying gas to NLNG.
We would like to congratulate all of us indeed for this important achievement, which we believe is not only an important milestone for the country, for NLNG, its shareholders, but also for its suppliers.
The managing director of the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, Engineer Mansour Sambo, said he was excited at the opportunity of the company joining the elite club of gas suppliers to NLNG and pledged the company's commitment to meeting the terms of the agreement.
We hold in our kitty over 15 TCF, and we really need home for the gas because we need the revenue for those gas as well.
Similarly, the managing director of Oando PLC, Mr. Wale Tinubu, on his part, expressed gratitude to the federal government for creating policies that encouraged indigenous companies like his to join the League of Gas Suppliers to NLNG and thanked the NNPC GMD for his leadership and support.
The right leadership from the President, the right leadership from the GMD of NNPC as well as the team, the right cooperation from the international oil companies, and at the end of the day, as an indigenous oil company who's a partner in these projects, and nothing gives us greater pleasure than the opportunity to create jobs.
Speaking on the buyer side of the transaction, the managing director of NLNG, Mr. Tony Atta, described the event as a great moment for Nigeria, as the gas supply will help consolidate Nigeria's position in the global NLNG market.
It's time to wake up. As I said, the best time to develop gas for Nigeria was yesterday, but the next best time is now.
As part of plans to guarantee energy security and stop petroleum products importation in the country, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has kicked off the first phase of establishing the first condensate refinery in the country with a firm commitment to take the final investment decision FID on it in July 2020. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mele Kyari, disclosed this at the signing of the Front-End Engineering Design FEED phase of the condensate refinery project at the NNPC Towers in Abuja.
Our own perspective is to deliver on our refineries, to make them work, and significant work has gone into that, and we believe that we can deliver on this. The second component is to support our partner to deliver on their projects that will make gasoline and other products available.
Speaking at the event, representatives of Seplat, Burkha International and KBR, Mr. Effiong Gokon, Mr. Mohamed Angote, and Ben Sofort appreciated the strong leadership of the NNPC management in driving the project while expressing their confidence and commitment to the project.
In terms of getting us out of the OPEC quota constraint on condensate, I think this is something we've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. So the time is here, and I think for us, it's about being part of making that history and creating a future which we all as Nigerians are going to be proud of.
We're excited with the management of the NNPC that we see today. For Nigerians who don't know, this is going to change the dynamic of the country in terms of energy security and energy outlook.
We've got a team that is going to be running this project, is full of passion and commitment to this project, and we're looking forward to starting this immediately.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Mele Kyari, has called on members of the Board of Directors of the Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical Company Limited to resolve issues of gas supply, technical capability and funding confronting the company and come up with viable bankable options that could help drive the project to fruition. Kerry made this call recently while inaugurating the board of the company at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. He said the brass fertilizer and petrochemical project, when completed, would lead to sustainable prosperity for Nigeria.
I know that this project is important to all of us. Monetizing gas to us is everything because this is a gas country. So our interest is always things that will add value to the local market and the local economy.
In his acceptance speech, the chairman of the board and NNPC Chief Operating Officer Gas and Power, Engineer Yusuf Usman, said that the project was important for both the corporation and the country.
For gas-based industries, what enables it is the presence of gas. And we have seen around the area, and not too far from the area, there's quite a lot of opportunities that we can harness and put together.
Earlier in his remarks, the chairman of DSV Engineering, a partner in the project, a member of the board, Mr. Ben Okoye, expressed delight that the board had finally been inaugurated, adding that his company was fully committed to the project.
It's in your tenure that we believe that we'll start the process of groundbreaking and construction and bringing this project to fruition.
The Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mele Kyari, has described the NNPC Retail Limited as a phase of the corporation, urging its board to deploy strategies that would enable the company grow its market share in the nation's downstream sector. The NNPC GMD made this known at the 6th Annual General Meeting of the company at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. Praising the company's exploits during the year, Mele Kyari urged its management not to rest on its oars.
We can increase our market share substantially so that we deliver value to the shareholders and of course to the generality of Nigerian citizens.
Speaking in similar vein, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the company and Chief Operating Officer, Gas and Power NNPC, Engineer Yusuf Usman, said during the 2018 financial year, the NNPC Retail Limited operated 623 stations comprising 37 mega, 4 standard, 2 ultra mega, 3 floating, 13 leased and 564 affiliate stations.
We are tasked by the shareholders to increase our market share to 30%. So what we are doing is we are building new stations. We are also leasing more stations. We are introducing a lubricant, and which we have launched. And my belief is that lubricant will do very well because NNPC has a very good brand name.
Speaking in similar vein, the Managing Director of NNPC Retail Limited, Sir Billy Okoye, said the 6th AGM gave the company the opportunity to present its financial status in line with statutory requirements of the law for 2017 and 2018 financial year.
In fulfillment with statutory requirements, AGM is being held today to present the overall status of the financial health and governance of NNPC Retail Limited.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC has announced an increased trading surplus of 5.20 billion naira for August 2019, reflecting an increase of 22% when compared with the 4.26 billion naira surplus posted in July 2019. The new figures are contained in the recently released August 2019 edition of the NNPC Monthly Financial and Operations Report MFOR of the National Oil Company. The report attributed the appreciable increase of 22% within the period under review to largely the improved surplus posted by the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC. It explained that the percentage increase in performance of the company evened out with the decline in the performance of Nigerian Gas Company, NGC, vis-a-vis July 2019 figures, even as it added that the increased surplus posted by Duke Oil and the reduced deficit by the Nigerian Pipelines and Storage Company, NPSC, equally bolstered the figures for the month, according to the report. Stating a summary of NNPC's group operating revenue and expenditure for August 2019, The August report indicated that it increased by 7.58% at 540.60 billion naira, reflecting an increase of 38.10 billion naira compared with the previous month's performance.
The governor of Akwa Ibom State, Dr. Emmanuel Odom, has commended the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, one of the upstream subsidiaries of the NNPC, for always paying attention to the concerns of its host communities. The governor gave the commendation in Uyo at a tripartite meeting between the state government, Senate Committee on Petroleum, Upstream, and the NPDC on OML 13, whose operatorship was recently transferred to the NPDC by the federal government. The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Mr. Moses Ekbo, tasked the NPDC to develop sustainable CSR policies that will take care of the interest of the host communities and the environment.
I want to thank the NNDC, the managing director, for this advocacy, this singular action by the committee and the NNPC has given us hope.
In his speech, the managing director NPDC, Engineer Mansour Sambo, stated that oil mining lease OML 13 was one of the best assets in the country and was located at the most peaceful state in Nigeria. He disclosed that NPDC currently operates 24 assets, some in joint ventures, JV, and most of them owned 100% by NPDC, and OML 13 is one of the 100% NPDC-operated assets.
We are here to get your enablers. We need enablers from you in order to unleash the potential so that it doesn't remain a potential. It is only useful to us when we have transformed it from a potential to a business.
The chairman, Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Senator Basi Akpan, commended the effort of Akwa Ibom State in managing the situation.
We stand to gain a lot in terms of taxes in this state. We stand to gain a lot in terms of derivation. And we also stand to gain a lot because the efforts of government in developing these communities will be complemented.
The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, has revealed that the average price paid by consumers for premium motor spirit petrol decreased by minus 1.03% year-on-year and increased by 0.32% month-on-month to 145 naira 94 kobo in November 2019. NBS made this disclosure in her November 2019 Price Watch report in Abuja. It stated that states with the lowest average price of premium motor spirit petrol were Borno 141 naira 50 kobo, Akwa Ibom 143 naira 83 kobo, and Benue 144 naira 17 kobo. The Bureau added that states with the lowest average price for the refilling of a 12.5 kg cylinder for liquefied petrol and gas cooking gas were Kano 3,525 naira, Zamfara 3,575 naira, and Kaduna 3,691 naira 67 kobo. It noted that the average price per gallon paid by consumers for national household kerosene increased by 0.04% month-on-month and by 5.69% year-on-year to 1,210 naira 37 kobo in November 2019 from 1,209 naira 84 kobo in October 2019, stressing that states with the lowest average price per gallon of kerosene were Bauchi with 1,110 naira 71 kobo, Bayelsa 1,117 naira 27 kobo, and Akwa Ibom 1,120 naira 42 kobo. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has disclosed that the world oil demand for its crude remained unchanged for 2019 and 2020. This information was contained in the OPEC Monthly Oil Market Review for December 2019. It stated that the demand stood at 29.6 million barrels per day, which is around 1.1 million barrels per day lower than the 2019 level. Non-OPEC oil supply growth for 2019 has remained unchanged at 1.82 million barrels per day. The U.S. liquid supply growth also remained unchanged at 1.62 million barrels per day, as an upward revision in the third quarter of 2019 was offset by a lower estimate for fourth quarter of 2019. The report maintained that the U.S. growth remains at 2.3% for 2019 and 1.8% for 2020, while Eurozone stays at 1.2% for 2019 and 1.0% for 2020.
Hello, we're glad to have you join us on the feedback segment of the program. I am Julia Auta. For the often time in many years, Nigerians nationwide are going into the festive season without the usual long queues at the fuel stations associated with panic buying. Today on this segment, we want to find out from motorists, transporters and passengers what it feels like celebrating without the usual fuel queues.
It should be like this, and I pray it should continue like this till after and even beyond this festive period.
It's comfortable considering the fact that it's a festive period. You come in, you don't need to, there's no queue, you just drive to the pump and you just pay your fuel.
They should keep it up, because if it is like this, people are not likely to complain.
I don't see scarcity of fuel, but I only about its cost. You come in and then you buy your fuel and then you move. There is no queue.
I thank my President Muhammad Buhari for what you do. Say we like no fuel cars.
The fuel situation is okay. The customers are coming in, we are serving them. There's no tension. As they come in, we serve them. They move out like that, and the situation is okay. And we have enough stock in supply.
From the responses, it goes to show that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), as the supplier of last resort, is alive to its responsibility of ensuring that there is efficient supply and distribution of petroleum products across the country. We now shift gear to the next segment of the program.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on this informative segment. My name is Tola Gugwade. Did you know that the Ofon Phase 2 Offshore is a joint venture between NNPC with 60% stake and Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited with 40% stake? Ofon field originally came on stream in December 1997, and the main objectives of Ofon 2 are to stop gas flaring and to monetize the gas to NLNG plants at Bonny. Similarly, Ofon field is also designed to produce Phase 1 remaining reserves and perform water injection to repressurize the different reservoirs. Did you also know that the field has projected reserve, proven and probable, of 350 million barrels of oil equivalents with 105 million standard cubic feet of gas? I'm sure you've been educated. Please stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices remained atop 3-month peaks, extending a robust streak that began a week ago as thawing trade relations between the United States and China supported global markets. Brent crude futures edged up 8 cents to $66.25 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude gained 4 cents to $60.97 per barrel. While there is a clear uptrend in place on the daily technical price chart for WTI to potentially move towards $61.50 per barrel, there are also near-term risks. The trend leaves oil prices set to rise for a third consecutive week, surfing momentum from the announcements this month about deeper output cuts by major producers, as well as the Phase 1 deal between the United States and China to resolve their long-running trade war. The deal between the world's two largest economies have improved the global economic outlook, lifted the prospect for higher energy demand next year and underpinned oil prices. Recently, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC and non-OPEC producers, such as Russia, agreed to deepen production cuts by a further 500,000 barrels per day from January 1, on top of previous reductions of 1.2 million barrels per day. According to weekly data released by the Energy Information Administration, U.S. crude inventories dropped 1.1 million barrels in the week to December 13, while gasoline and distillate stockpiles rose. Thanks for watching. I am Owigo Akolo.
No long queue again because of the availability of fuel this time around. We enjoy it now.
That's been all on Gas Forum for this edition. We hope you found it very delightsome. Takeaway should be coming from the NLNG Train 7 gas supply agreement, which says flying on the wing of gas. We're in the wing of Christmas. Have a jolly good weekend.